Okay, I call to order the meeting of April 17th, 2023 at 6 p.m. If you'd like to stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Potato,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Cole,
Here.
Hochstetter, here, Newman. Mayor is Councilmember Newman.
Councilmember Newman called in today and she will not be here tonight.
Thank you. Reed,
Here.
Stewart,
Here.
All right. So do we have a motion to excuse Councilmember Newman?
Yes, I'll make that motion.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilmember Cole. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, passes unanimous. All right, so tonight on our agenda, our first item on the agenda is a proclamation for the United Way of Pierce County Centennial.
Mayor, turn your mic.
Okay. Whereas United Way of Pierce County, UWPC, Washington, was found 100 years ago on May 14th, 1921, by the organizing committee of 9 women chaired by Emily R. Seymour, and whereas UWPC was established to bring together the community to raise and distribute resources to those in need, and they continue to work from the heart and unite caring people to tackle our community's toughest challenges, and whereas the organization survived the Great Depression, several wars, a financial crisis, and most recently, a global pandemic, while never failing to provide services and leadership to the community. And whereas UWPC has been an integral part of the Pierce County community, raising over $350 million over the years and investing those resources to provide support and opportunities to ensure that children and families have what they need to succeed and thrive. And whereas UWPC provides funding for the Center for Strong Families at the Sumner Bonnie Lake Family Resource Center located in Sumner by helping clients learn about money management, discover their financial goals through engaging sessions designed to pair finance and employment coaching with career exploration. And whereas UWPC remains committed to uniting the community to end poverty one family at a time, and they fight for every person in every community every day with the belief that everyone entitled to be treated with dignity and respect and deserves equal treatment and access to justice. And whereas they will continue to serve as a hope leader, bringing the community together to address its toughest problems for generations to come. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize United Way of Pierce County for all their work in support of their community in the last 100 years. Dated the 17th day of April, 2023. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
you like to say?
Yes, I'll say a few words. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mayor Hayden and City Council for this wonderful recognition. We're 100, well, we're actually 102. We're going to be 102 in May, and we don't look at, a day over 99. But United Way, we've been in this community, this 100 years, really bringing people together to really tackle the toughest problems that we all care about. And we are so pleased that we were able to work with the Superintendent Lori Dent and Mayor Lee to make the Center for Strong Family at Sumner Middle School a reality. We've been talking about it for years. And with the support of the county funding and Kaiser Permanente, we were able to do that. But again, thank you. United Way has done so much. One of the things that I've tried to make sure that I've done since I've been here, which is 9 years, is that United Way is just not a Tacoma organization, but that we are providing support throughout the county. And so we look forward to doing more out in this portion of the county, like we've done in Bethel and Franklin Pierce, and starting to do more in the Key Peninsula area as well. So again, thank you so much for this honor. And it's nice to be out here. It was a nice drive today. So it's good to come and visit. Thank you again.
Thank you. Okay. Now our second item on the agenda is another proclamation, and I call on Community Services Manager Derek Berry.
Thank you for having me. Do you want me to present this to anyone, like maybe Michelle, who does all of the work for us? All right, thank you. Whereas the City of Sumner Forestry and Parks Commission promotes the responsible planting and maintenance of trees on public and private property, and whereas the citizens of Sumner highly value their environmental quality and promote the planting of trees as well as enhanced park system, and whereas the City of Sumner recognizes that trees reduce air pollution, improve aesthetic value, provide shelter from wind and rain, provide animal and bird habitat, reduce noise pollution, save energy, enhance property values, and provide privacy. And whereas the planting of trees promotes community pride and enhances the character of the city and its neighborhoods. And whereas Arbor Day is a nationally recognized celebration of trees and tree planting. And whereas Sumner is celebrating its 29th year as a tree city, as designated by the National Arbor Day Foundation. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Sumner proclaims April 28th, 2023 as Arbor Day and requests that all citizens join us and celebrate our trees, our parks, and our continued commitment to environmental stewardship, dated the 17th day of April, 2023.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to share, we do have our Arbor Day tree planting event this Saturday from 9 to 11 out on River Grove. We'll be planting approximately 40 columnar European hornbeams. Thank you.
Columnar.
So they're columnar in shape,
Oh.
and they're European hornbeams.
Hornbeam.
There's quite a few east of the sports complex.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to consent agenda. Will the clerk please read the consent agenda?
Item number 1, Sumner Texaco Heritage Park Remediation Consultant Services Amendment. Item 2, Westwell Water Main Replacement and Cemetery Irrigation Improvements Consultant Contract Award. Item 3, Stewart Road Bridge Acquisition, Menke Lumber. Item 4, Stewart Road Bridge Acquisition, Riverside Baptist Church. Item 5, approval of the checks electronic payments for year-end 2022 in the amount of $10,871,284.84. Item 6, approval of the checks electronic payments in the amount of $2,074,196.39. Item 7, approval of the minutes from the April 3rd, 2023 regular council meeting and April 10th, 2023 study session.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Hochstetter, would you like to make a motion to adopt consent agenda?
Yeah, I move we accept the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Stewart. Would any council member like to remove an item on this? Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Saying no, passes unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Tonight, we have a public hearing on resolution number 1657, the 2024-2029 six-year transportation improvement program annual update. And I will open the hearing at 6:10. And I will call on Andrew Leach, Public Works Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm Andrew Leach, Public Works Manager. This public hearing is for the 2024-2029 through 2029 six-year transportation improvement program annual update. It's also called the six-year tip for short. Per state law, the city is required to update its six-year tip annually and file the copy of the adopted program with the State Department of Transportation. As part of this requirement, the city must hold a public hearing to provide an opportunity for the public to comment on the plan. This item was previously brought to council at the April 10th study session. Just a few quick highlights for this year's update. The Stewart Road Bridge project is about to complete its final design, and the construction phase for the project is now fully funded. Another priority project is the 166th Avenue widening project. We're currently in preliminary design and working through an extensive environmental phase of the project. And then one last highlight is the systemic horizontal curve and roadway departure safety improvements project. We added this project to the tip just this year. The city received grant funding to help improve our roadway safety on a few of our major roadways in Sumner. So this project will help accomplish that. Just one quick note, based on the comments and questions from council on last Monday's study session, where we went more extensively through the six-year tip. I put together a six-year tip map and overlaid our private development map on top, so you can kind of see the locations of where the private development projects are compared to the six-year tip projects. I emailed that out to all council members earlier this afternoon, and then I also put a copy in all of your mailboxes, so you have a copy to take a look at that. And finally, this item is scheduled to appear as unfinished business for final adoption at the May 1st regular council meeting. With that, that wraps up my comment.
Thank you. Do I have any council comments on this? Seeing none, any council comment, any comments from the public? Seeing none, I will close this public hearing at 6:12.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, we have no unfinished business. And we move down into public comment. The public is encouraged to submit their comments to the city clerk by email before tonight's meeting, so the clerk may read those emails received to the record. Michelle, were there any public comments received?
No, Mayor, there were not.
Okay, does any public listening or watching have anything to say? Seeing none. We will move on. Okay. New business. Tonight we have a lot of reappointments, so our first one is a reappointment of Civil Service Commissioner Michael Daub. Councilmember Botetto, would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion for the reappointment of Michael Daub for the Civil Service Commission for 4 years.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilmember Hochstetter. I call on Administrative Services Director Jeff Steffens.
Good evening. The mayor is seeking the reappointment of Michael Daub to the Civil Service Commission for a term ending March 31st, 2027. Mr. Daub was originally appointed last year to the Civil Service Commission to fulfill the term of Commissioner Hammermaster, who unexpectedly passed away. The Civil Service Commission consists of 3 members and is responsible for administration of HR policies and practices in the areas of competitive testing, conducting investigations and hearings, position classification, and any other matter of general personnel administration subject to the provisions of the state statute and civil service rules. That I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Dobbs not in attendance. Do I have any discussion or questions for Jeff from the council? Seeing none. Any member of the public, which we have George. No? All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Potato,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
All right, passes unanimous. We'll move on to the reappointment to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee of Dean Burke. Councilmember Cole, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I move to reappoint Dean Burke to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for a term of 1 year.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hochstetter. And I call on the Communications Director Carmen Palmer. Why is that so hard to say?
I don't know. I'm so sorry. Blame my mother. No. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm before you tonight on the annual reappointment and appointment of our Lodging Tax Advisory Committee members. I will give a little summary for all of them. I won't repeat this for every single one, so rest assured. Just a reminder of the rather tortured history of lodging tax in Sumner. Because we didn't form our own committee before 1997, the Washington State Code continues to send the bulk of our lodging tax to Pierce County for use. They are very good about sharing it. They just ran their application process. We filled out some applications, as did other people working in Sumner, I think. But they still send a small portion of the lodging tax to Sumner, and that still follows all of the rules that the state puts forward for recommending the spending of that. And so thus we have to form our own committee for that tiny portion we receive. Dean Burke is the chair of Travel Tacoma, Mount Rainier, our regional destination marketing organization. He has been a great partner because of this situation where we have both, our money goes regionally and locally. It's nice to use some of the regional organizations that represent Sumner because they can both see what attracts visitors to Sumner and the big picture, how we help attract people who are also going to Mount Rainier or also going to the Washington State Fair. So he has been a great partner and he has graciously agreed to serve another year.
Great. Well, Mr. Burke is not here. Is there any council member that would? Deputy Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Burke has been with us on the committee before, and he is very knowledgeable and a very valued member. So I'm really happy that he has continued to work with us.
Anybody else? All right, and any members of the public? You're gonna get a lot of questions tonight because you're the only public here. All right, seeing none, will the clerk please call the roll?
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Unanimous. All right, moving on, reappointment to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee of Trevor Sutton. And I will call on Carmen Palmer again.
Mayor, would you like a
Oh,
motion?
How about if we have Mr. Brown, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, I move to reappoint Dean Burke to the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Thank you. Do I have a
Nope.
second?
It was
Trevor.
That's all right. The mayor was going along with you.
Oh, man. I move to reappoint Trevor Sutton
There we
to
go.
the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Councilmember Brown. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Seconded by Deputy Mayor Hochstetter. All right,
Back on. There was a little bit more details I didn't share before. The state law outlines who serves on this committee, and it is one member of your elected body, which you pick when you're picking the committees. And so that is, once again, Deputy Mayor Hochstetter. It also outlines that there are at least 2 members who represent organizations that could use the funding. So that's destination marketing organizations like Travel Tacoma, who you just reappointed. It also requires a balanced number of people who collect the tax. So that's usually your hoteliers. And so Trevor Sutton is the general manager of the Candlewood Suites here in Sumner, and he has served on this committee before. The reason for the balance is to make sure it's really being used the way it should to drive further room nights. People call it heads and beds, but it doesn't just stop there. The purpose of this is not just to be a marketing arm of hotels, but to get people to spend the night in your community, because that is the number one way they spend more at your businesses, with gas and dining and shopping. So that is the ultimate goal. And I just wanted to clarify why you have different people representing different aspects serving on this committee.
thank you. All right. Michelle, would you call the roll?
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes,
Shadow,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
All right. Now we're moving on to the reappointment to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, Maylee Anderson. Councilmember Reed, would you like to make a motion?
I move we reappoint Maylee Anderson to the Sumner Lodging and Tax Commission.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Councilmember Potato. Communications Director Carmen Palmer.
This is the second seat of a destination marketing organization who could use this funding. And Maylee Anderson represents Visit Rainier. Excuse me, that's the other large destination marketing organization. Obviously, that big, beautiful mountain about 30 miles south of us is a huge draw for visitors. So this is her second year serving with us, and we are very appreciative of her service as well.
Thank you. So she is not here. So is there any discussion among council members? None? Oh, Deputy Mayor?
I would just like to thank her for taking time out of her busy job to continue to help us, because she is another valuable member to our committee. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody in the public like to say anything? Well, thank you. You're getting with it, George. All right, will the clerk please call the roll?
Cole,
Yes.
Brown,
yes,
Reed,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Potato.
Yes.
Okay. Our last appointment of the night is commission appointment to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee of Carmelo Lopez. And I call on Carmen Palmer.
Mayor, would you like a
After
motion?
We have a motion. We have a motion. Mr. Stewart, would you like to do that?
I sure would. I move that we approve Mayor Hayden's recommendation for appointing Carmelo Lopez to the Sumner Lodging Tax Advisory Committee for a term of 1 year.
Very good. Do I have a second?
Yes, I'll second that.
Deputy Mayor Hochstetter. Now we will call on Carmen Palmer.
This one is a little different. This is an appointment. Carmelo Lopez is representing, he's the new general manager of the Holiday Inn Express here in Sumner. So he is brand new to our community, and it's wonderful to have him engaged in this committee. He has served before, previously up in South Sound and on the Washington Hospitality Commission. So he does have a history of service in the hospitality industry, and we look forward to welcoming him here in Sumner.
Perfect. Okay, is there any discussion among council members?
Yes, I'm just happy to have a brand new member. It's always good to have someone to add new things to the discussion. So I want to thank him for volunteering his time to help us with this.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, anybody from the public?
Yes, absolutely impressive that we're able to draw professionals, various areas to participate. That is really good government. And it's amazing that people from outside this body. It's inspiration.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Lopez.
Yeah, she did it all herself. Okay. Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Stewart,
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Cole.
Yes.
Another unanimous. All right. Our next item is ordinance number 2851, small divisions and pipe stem lots code update. Deputy Mayor, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, it's short and sweet. I move we approve ordinance number 2851.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Seconded.
Seconded by Councilmember Cole. Call on senior member, planner Ann Siegenthaler. There she is.
Hi there. Good evening, Mayor Hayden and city council members. I just have a couple of 3 or 4 slides to share with you tonight, just as a refresher on what you would be taking actions on. And I'm wondering, Mr. Steffens, can you enable me to share my screen? Sorry, I'm not seeing. There we go. Thank you. I also have invited our consultant, Matt Covert from LDC, to attend tonight in case the council has any additional questions before you make a decision on this. So there are 3 parts to this ordinance before you tonight. The first is short subdivisions. The second part to this is adjusting the maximum lot size in our multifamily zones. And the third is a proposal to change the standards for pipe stem lots. So quickly again, for short subdivisions, we're proposing to raise the short subdivision threshold from 4 lots up to 9, and that greatly reduces costs for people, small developers in particular, to complete subdivisions. And it doesn't increase the density. They still have to comply with the density in the zone. And we're also proposing to update access standards, which is another cost savings in terms of construction and land costs. So for small, short subdivisions, a developer.
Ms. Siegenthaler?
Yes.
We're not seeing your screen.
I'm very sorry, my apologies. I'm trying now to end my screen share. Are you able to see the screen now?
We got it now.
I'm very sorry, my apologies.
All right.
So short subdivisions, that's pretty straightforward, going from 4 to 9 lots, reducing the width of the access drives, and some adjustments to public noticing. Since we're raising the number of lots, we want to have some public notice for the larger short subdivisions to let the neighbors know. The next part of this ordinance is setting a maximum lot size for single-family homes in our medium density and high density residential zones. The goal here is to ensure that these zones, which are intended for higher density residential, which could be single-family homes, but in particular, they are where we would have higher density, either apartments or what we call middle housing. So we want to protect those zones to serve our multifamily and higher density single family as they were intended. So that's the second part of this ordinance. The third part of the ordinance is to change the standards for pipe stem lots. The main change here would be to allow up to 4 pipe stem lots instead of the current 1 lot behind the main house. And again, this doesn't increase the density. Any pipe stem lot development would still have to meet the minimum lot size in the zone. The building height would be allowed to be the same as all the other houses in the zone, in the neighborhood. They would have to meet the same current setback for pipe stem lots, but we'd have a wider setback around the perimeter of 15 feet to help address privacy issues. For access and parking to pipe stem lots, we also want to allow narrower access ways to these. So for 1 to 2 pipe stem lots, we want to allow a driveway that's 15 feet wide. For more than that, for 3 to 4 pipe stem lots, and again, 4 would be the maximum, a short subdivision, pipe stem lot subdivision developer could have an access drive up to 25 feet wide. And the idea behind increasing the width of the access drive for more lots was to address a planning commission concern about allowing room on the site for visitor parking. So wider access road provides a little more parking on the side. We're also requiring that the homes create a 1 additional guest parking space and 4 guest parking spaces for more than 3 pipe stem lots, and that all homes have to have a driveway at least 18 feet deep, and that also provides an additional visitor parking area. So those are really the 3 parts, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Ann from council? Deputy Mayor Hochstetter.
Anne, can you make yourself big?
Yes. I like those technical terms.
So my question has to do with item number 2. I wasn't here the last week meeting. It has to do with adjusting the large lot size and multifamily zone.
Yes.
I'm wondering if a person already owns that property in that zone, does it apply to them?
No, there's a provision in here that in the ordinance itself that that applies this to lots created after March 2023. Now we may need to adjust that to say May 2023, but the idea is if someone already owns a home and even if it's a pipe stem lot now, they're not subject to this. So we don't want to make existing homes non-conforming. But if someone has a large lot and after this ordinance is adopted, they wish to create pipe stem lots, they would have to comply, pipe stem or excuse me, even a small subdivision, they would have to comply with this maximum lot size.
Okay, thank you, because I just wanted to make sure we weren't interfering with people's property rights with what they, the way they're living and how it already exists for them and the plans they have. So okay,
Yes.
thank you for clarifying that for me.
Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. And I just had a quick question. I know part of the net result from these changes, I believe, increases around 400 potential building sites throughout the city. And could you please remind the public the ballpark number that we're required to grow by under the 2040, 2050 plans? Isn't it around 3,000 units within the city?
Yes, there are a couple different numbers that relate to this proposed ordinance. One is the buildable lands capacity analysis that was completed last year indicated that we have capacity in our residential zones, single-family residential zones, for probably a little over another 400 units, single-family homes. So I think that's the number you first mentioned. And then, yes, and then we have our fair share of the regional population growth, and then the Pierce County population growth. Sumner's fair share of that is about 2,900 housing units. And so our consultant helped us look at some numbers, and what we're talking about in terms of pipe stem lots is a very small fraction of those units. We may get another 40 to 50 pipe stem lots, but that's assuming that we have site conditions and lots are big enough and wide enough. But those are the numbers that we looked at in this ordinance.
Thank you. My big message for the public is, because this does create the potential for additional lots and additional building, for those that are concerned about the growth, it is just kind of a reminder that not only do you need to be growing, but as we have some requirements and expectations for that 2,900 growth units by 2040, 2050. And I don't want to say punishment, but the consequence of not meeting those targets is pretty significant in the funding and operation of the city.
Yes, and what we're doing with pipe stem lots and with short subdivisions is we're trying to streamline the process to accommodate those additional units that we're getting. So our density, we're not increasing the density that the council has already adopted for our various zones. We're trying to make it easier to fulfill that density at that capacity we already have.
That's great. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing none. Thank you, Anne.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Reed,
Yes.
Potato,
Yes.
Hochstetter,
Yes.
Cole,
Yes.
Stewart,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Passes 6-0. Okay. So we move on to reports, and council reports are first. Councilmember Brown, do you have a report?
I do not.
Thank you. Councilmember Botetto.
Yeah, I was just pleased that the city recognized United Way's centennial of being involved in our city, and the Center for Strong Families has really made a big difference for people that are looking for work and needing financial help, not, learning how to budget and those types of things. So I think we're very fortunate to have United Way in our town. And then tomorrow is a community summit at Calvary Church, and it's a good way to learn about how both Bonnie Lake and Sumner are dealing with different issues. So, and then also recognize different people. So hope you can attend.
Thank you. Councilmember Stewart.
And no report tonight. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Cole.
No report tonight.
All right. Councilmember Reed.
Thank you, Mayor. Just another quick thank you to all the volunteer commissioners and those that are serving on different committees.
Thank you. City Administrator Jason Wilson.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Excuse me, coming up at next week's study session, we'll have some updates for you. First one is from East Pierce Fire and Rescue. They'll provide their annual update and talk about the calls for service they're seeing in Sumner, as well as give an update on their 2018 bond and their staffing levels. After that, the YMCA will be here to discuss progress they're making on their, both their 2013 as well as their 2019 services agreements, including the land development, which is located just north of the YMCA. After that, Community and Economic Development Director Windish will be talking about safe parking. We've been approached by one of our local churches with the desire to create a safe parking lot. So we'll go over the process for that and engage council's interests on whether or not we want to do a pilot program for safe parking. And then we'll end the night with a discussion about the Rainier View Playground Improvement Program. And get some council feedback and let you know the Parks and Forestry Commission's desire to make some changes to that playground as we replace the toys later this year. Then on May 1st, at a regular council meeting, we're gonna have a new officer swearing in. Officer Lucas DeVore graduates from the academy on Monday. You'll be just amazed by what he's already accomplished. Just a great hire. So we're looking forward to attending his graduation next week and then swearing him in the week after that. Also at that meeting, we'll have a proclamation for Peace Officer Memorial and Police Week. And then on the agenda is the Stewart Road Bridge PSE agreement, as well as a resolution adopting the 6-year transportation improvement program that you had your public hearing on tonight. One last reminder, we have the AWC conference coming up in June. It's June 20th through the 23rd in Spokane. If you're interested in attending that, please get a hold of me so we can make travel arrangements for you. Registration opens later this week. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? No? No questions. Thank you. All right, so my report, tomorrow is the community summit and it will be at Calvary Church starting at 5 p.m. Online registration is still open if you want to join in. The Sumner Breakout Group at the summit will talk about what's working and what could be better. We'll be honoring unsung heroes and hear from keynote speaker Aaron Jones. We'll also celebrate the Sweats Drive. We're having a sweatpants and socks, and it's the hill against the valley. So I think hopefully the valley is going to win. I've tried my hardest to make that happen. Also, next Tuesday, we have an open house here at City Hall from 5 to 7 on April 25th. And we have a lot of projects going. So this is your chance to ask questions, give input, and just catch up on the latest information. So I hope to see everybody there. With that, I close the meeting at 6:46. I can't read that clock. How about 6:46? Close enough. Good. Huh?